It's the JT Cho Show!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What a good mythical congratulation is in order for one of my favorite channels to watch, Good Mythical Morning. Their whole crew brings a fantastic show, has some of my favorite games on the interweb to watch. Where in the world are these international fair foods from? Love it. I'm glad they won. It was I didn't really watch most. I just kind of went to a Yahoo article for the streamies. Congrats to David Dobrik on his. He had the best vlog squad. But some other things that happened since our last long time. Tiger Woods, baby, bringing that trophy home for America. And I apologize. I haven't podcasted in a while. Basically, I got home from my vacation, had to go straight to work, and then these 2 off days were like, yeah, you should have not went on vacation for 3 days, and you should have taken care of A, B, C, and D, but now you got to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H all in 2 days. And then I almost did it Thursday, which would have been today's Sunday the 15th. And I wanted to do one Thursday, but I went to the Red Wings game, and they haven't won in a month, but I got tickets for $30. $30 sitting 8 rows from the ice, where the Wings shoot twice. And let me tell you, it was my first experience ever in Little Caesars Pizza Arena. And I'm a huge Joe guy. My last playoff game was at the Joe versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I've seen wins, losses. I think I saw the Mighty Ducks 3 years in a row. And yes, I said Mighty Ducks because they weren't the Anaheim Ducks that they are now. This is when they had Teemu Selanne, Guy Bear. They had Paul Kariya. They had some really old school people back in the day when I went and saw them. But the Joe, your feet stick to the floor. You're there for a rowdy time. The fans were just piled on top of each other. I saw it back wall in a playoff game, and there was people in this little cutout, like a little cubby hole, and they were even far back than me. And when you walk into the Little Caesars Pizza Arena, and when they came out with that name, I was like, they're in a deep dish of trouble here. I truly believe you should have named it the Gordie Howe Stadium. Joe Louis, famous boxer, represents Detroit. Gordie Howe, man. But, the Ilitch family, they own Little Caesars. But, boy, is it beautiful. Okay, it's, go Pack, go. But it's right next to Ford Field, and it's right next to Comerica Park. And for the first time in a long time, every Detroit team is playing in Detroit. The Pistons moved out of the Palace, but there's one thing that all the new stadiums have in common for Detroit. None of them have a championship that has been won in them by the team. Unfortunately for the Lions, we're still waiting. I say we. Michiganders, man, people who are diehard Lions. Like, shut up, Packer fan. The Red Wings, they won their last cup in 2012. The Tigers, my parents were alive. Cool. We had 2 shots. And now the Pistons also play there. But when you walk into Little Caesars Arena, it is beautiful. High ceilings. Joe, you were like, I'm 6'3", you'd be like, hey, there's the roof sometimes, the ceiling. And, man, this place has so much space. It's got these restaurants that I'm pretty sure they're open daily, not just when games are. You walk in, and there's an upstairs, and there's fan cam, and they've got these cutouts. Go to my Instagram, JTofJville, you'll see it, but they have these really nice cutouts of the players on the bench, and of course I had to pose looking down the line You need the back skate harder. What do you do? The sloppy passing. You need the dangle. You know, I had to do a pose like that because that's just the kind of guy I am. The food prices aren't terrible. I think it was $4 for a slice of za, but it's still not the Atlanta Falcons, so we can work on that one. But they have like all these restaurants too. They had the Kid Rock. I think that one's closing, probably because he's a racist. But they have a ton of restaurants, a ton of breweries. Really, really good smelling food though, because you'll walk around, you'll get different. You're like, oh, where's this Mexican food? They have like so many good smells. And then when you sit in your seat, man, the cushion. I've sat on some cold benches. I went and saw Michigan versus Indiana. I think it was 9 degrees outside at the Big House. We were 11 rows up, or no, we were actually 9 rows up from the end zone. And it was so cold and so exciting that game that the only time we sat down was at halftime, and the benches were just ice cold. But one thing about the Little Caesars Pizza Arena, it's a real place. Man, the seats are so comfy. You have space. The floor was clean, and you could see. They have these really awesome red lights on the ceiling during the game, and I haven't been there for Pistons game yet because I got back in Michigan in 2014, so forgive me. But they have all the banners, of course. They have some super high up suites, but there's no wasted space on the giant 4-screen scoreboard in the middle, because even the underneath part where people who, you know, they got the cash, like not like the rest of us peasants who have to usually sit way up here, but the wings are really terrible right now, so I could afford to sit down here. And finally, when Steve Eisman rebuilds the team, I'm only going to be able to afford seats up here. So that being said, you can see underneath the scoreboard, and they even have like more stats during the game, and also some more advertisements. So there's like no wasted space. My dad kept saying, "I heard concerts are good here," and I'm like, I don't know. They could be. Detroit's got great venues: Cobo Hall, DTE Arena, the Orbitz Room in Grand Rapids. That's a good place to see a show. Shoot, the Jackson County Fairground when Styx came to town. That was a fantastic show. Not a great venue, but for a fairground, it was a good venue. But he just kept saying that, and I was just like, I don't know. But I got to see some wicked goals. Even the empty netter was from the red line behind the goalie, all the way in the air, never touched the ice, jammed it to the back. There's some Red Wings where, I'll be honest, I'm not trying to be a poser. Sorry, my dog's got her bone, and she's just the cutest thing. But anyways, there's a lot of younger Wings that I'm still getting caught up on. I mean, I've been a Wings fan my whole life. I could probably name, like, off the 96-97 roster, there's Fedorov, Yzerman, Shanahan, Osgood, Mike Vernon, Darren McCarty. There's Joey Kosar, Igor Lariana, Vladimir Konstantina, Slava Kozlov. There's Scotty Bowman was the head coach. There's something Bobby. I can name a lot of Red Wings from, like, my childhood heroes growing up and watching this team play. But these younger kids, and they're coming and going, and Detroit's really, like, shaking up their organization. They're, you know, keeping these good young guys, and because I had to do a lot of reading to catch up on, like, and I was like, wow, we're going to the Wings game, and they haven't won in a month. But I had to do, like, a bunch of research, so I'm still, you know, getting acclimated to, the new Wings, but I don't want to get invested in a player and then boom, out the door, we got this new prospect or a goalie or something like that, you know? You'll never win a championship with Jimmy Howard, so I don't know why we still have him. But anyways, as far as, like, nostalgia and, like, I probably said that word weird, but in terms of, like, Lambeau Field, this historic, gets renovated, you know, it's still Lambeau. It's if I could play any football game, it would be in Lambeau this time of the year, just to see how cold it is. But these new arenas and stadiums that they're building are just multi-million-dollar investments that like Lambeau's never going to host a concert. Technically it loses money, but I mean, it's a piece of history. It's a beautiful stadium. I would rather, if I had to see a game in any stadium for the rest of my life, it would be Lambeau, because I mean, I've been there 3 times and I've never had a bad time. You just got to dress for them. Just wear your Carhartts. But it's for that generation that's coming up that's like, oh, I can swipe my picture up there. Yeah, I connected to the Wi. Yeah, I'm calling for food. Yeah, here's my tickets, yada, yada, yada. And it's great because I also partake in some of that. I also participate in some of that, activity where like, oh, hey, tweet this for your chance to win some pizza because it's $4 a slice and we know you're hungry. And by the way, one of my favorite parts of the game is they've always done this there. They did this at the Joe too. They would bring out they would bring out boxes of pizza. Yeah, this is an unopened copy of Godzilla. I don't need you to judge me. I seen what happens, and I only bought this because I like Bryan Cranston. But these like little showgirls come out. I don't know if they're like The Price is Right, where some of them are show guys now, but they come down and they're like waving and they got a bag of, and they're like, oh, go crazy fans, go crazy and catch this pizza, you slobs. And they're just whipping boxes of pizza and people are like, give me this free pizza that you're just throwing around on the ground. I don't care. I want it in my mouth. And when I was a kid, holy moly, I would get up and be like, yeah. I'm glad the internet wasn't around as long as it is now and how it works, because if I ever get any career, it would be totally ruined by how goofy of a kid that I was and how goofy of a person that I mean, that is still a possibility because I'm just one goofy guy. But yeah, so my mom's like, stand up, get some pizza. And I was like, I don't want that pizza. I had Wahlburgers, which I'll review too, by the way. But yeah, Little Caesars Pizza Arena, it was a good experience. The Wings scored 2 goals in the first period down on my end. They scored a quick goal in the second period, and then it was the same guy. He's from Michigan. He scored 2 goals in the second. It should have been realistically a tie game, or at least 2-2. But that empty netter was just some sick, nasty justice. And hey, my first game, the Red Wings snapped their losing streak. Lucky Charms are magically delicious. But my parents and I, and this is why I didn't do the podcast on Thursday, I had some early errands for work. But again, I stayed up till 3 a.m. playing video games. I was like, hey guys, we got to go to bed at 1. Okay. And then 3, hey guys, this is definitely the last one, unless it's like a short game where we die in the first round. So, excuse me. So anyways, my parents, they're a little bit older. I'm a more adamant driver when it comes to the city. You know, I'm not really like, oh, we're in the big. My mom gets that way. So I love my mom to death, but sometimes she's like, oh, the big city. And I was just like, Mom, we're in a car. It's fine. And my dad just sits there and he's just like, I didn't want to drive anyways. But so I got a nap in, and then they picked me up, and then gave them some gas money, and off to the game we went. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to stop, get some food in Ann Arbor, or do you guys want to try Wahlburgers in Detroit? And my parents, I love them to death, but man, they love Cullivers. And who doesn't? Cheese curds. They're so good. But my mom's always like, let's go to Cullivers. Like, we'll go anywhere. You can go to Lansing, Jackson. You can go anywhere. There's a Cullivers. Cullivers are really, really big right now in Michigan. They have terrible drive-thrus, so the time's awful. Pretty good food, though. But every time we go anywhere, let's just go to Cullivers. I always get a hot meal there. I was like, why don't you just explore? Like, I've been trying to get these same people to eat Chinese food. I didn't have Chinese food till I was 16 when my one of my best friends, Earl, he's like, hey, man, let's hop in the car. And you guys might get to meet Earl, by the way. He's coming down, or I'm going up on Saturday, so I might do a podcast with him because he wants to do one. Anyways, he's like, hey, let's get Chinese food. I was like, oh, I've never had Chinese food. He's like, what? He's like, how have you never had Chinese food? I was like, my parents just don't eat Chinese food. I went to the, it closed. It was awful. It was an awful place, but at the time I was like, wow, this is amazing. And after that, year after year, hey, let's get Chinese food, Mom and Dad. Chinese food, all the time. And I took them to P.F. Chang's, and they kind of, picked at it. But then they went with some people from church on a whim, and they're like, oh, it was so good. Their chicken was so good. And I was just, shaking my head wow, it took God to get you guys to eat Chinese food. I never stood a chance. So I was like, hey, look, I really want to try Wahlburgers, and I kind of had to sell my dad on it because he doesn't like to not be adventurous, but he always gets bad meals. And so at restaurants, I noticed, unless it's Chinese food, I'll be like, hey, I'll just have this steak with a side of mashed potatoes, and he'll just be like, I'll have a steak with mashed potatoes. And so when I go to restaurants, I like to have him order first because I know he's trying to order what I'm trying to order. So anyways, we're getting way off topic. So I was like, look, I really want to try Wahlburgers. They just signed a contract, I read, with the DOD. I think they're going to get a base in Germany. And my dad's like, military? Germany? Mark Wahlberg? I love all of this. So he was kind of like, yeah, we can try it. So we get in there. We're in Detroit. We park somewhere for $5. And they've got all their Christmas lights up, and this is Greek town, and you're seeing neon signs, but you still got your buildings with the beautiful architecture on the sides of it, and the old brick, and the designs from the lions that they would carve in, and it's beautiful. Go to Detroit, all right? It's not as bad as everyone says it is, but we're walking, passing this pizza shop that looked real good. We passed this bakery I've never even seen because we just never go down that way. And there's also a really good barbecue shop that's right next to Wahlburgers. But we walk in and we were greeted by the friendliest staff. Hey, sit downstairs. There's smaller tables downstairs, but upstairs is their main dining room. They have 2 full-size bars, very clean bathrooms. It's kind of like that movie ambiance because it's got Pain and Gain and Daddy's Home 2 because he's got a sequel. The Equal, no, that's the wrong movie. 2 Guns. So it's got all, and then it's Blue Bloods because that's really the only thing that his other brother's been in. But it's not that cheesy Hollywood, whatever that old Hollywood. I went to one and it was just too much stuff in my face. Like when you're trying to eat, but you're sitting by the Star Wars stuff, which I love. That's why I sat there, and people were climbing over your food, and they're like, oh, let me get a picture. And you're just I'm trying to eat here. So it's got this ambiance to it where it's very clean, very green, and their chairs are these light neon green, and they got these cutouts on the ceiling with also the titles of his movies. And they have a really funny photo of all 3 brothers with a shirt that says, I'm Mom's favorite, because the joke is all 3 of them are wearing the same shirt. And everything on the menu is easily explained, and it'll say what's house made, and their buns are made in-house, and they're super fresh. And I'm pretty sure they do stuff with their pickles too, and their chipotle mayo was fire. So the first time I went there, I went straight for their house burger. I got a medium well. Very good, not greasy. And they even put little, those little candy cherry things that you put on ice cream. They put those in my cherry Coke, which was the first sugar pop that I've had in such a long time because I'm a Coke Zero man. And Pepsi Max, but I just drink way too much pop as it is. But anywho, so we did that. We tried Wahlburgers. They loved it. We walked into the bakery. I said, hey, for using your car, not my gas guzzler. That's for you, Greta. Go cry to the next person. But, yeah, so I was like, hey, just pick out a dessert, and hey, I picked a turtle pecan brownie. So if you were a betting man, my dad also got a turtle pecan brownie, and my mom got these baklavas, I think. But it was really good, and like we would have never experienced that if they would have let's just go to Culliver's. I just want the same thing every week. My mom doesn't sound like that, but I always get a hot meal. Everything's good. I love their menu. If I ever get famous, Culliver's, I'll plug your show for some free gift cards for my mom, because man, does she love Culliver's. Oh, so some things coming up that I have planned. I have a friend named Hill. He's me and him. We're going to be doing a podcast pretty soon. Joe, we're still waiting on Joe. Where's Joe? You've been talking about Joe since episode 1, but he's only on episode 7, I think. But what I'm saying is, Joe and me scheduled. I went on vacation. We usually hang out that weekend, so I kind of ruined it. But I got one in with Frankie. It was good. And Saturday, I'll be hanging out with Earl. We'll be finish up some Christmas shopping. We always go Christmas shopping together. Bros! And so we'll do some Christmas shopping because we're men. And, we'll probably hang out, play some video games, talk a lot of trash about each other on Mario Kart. And he said he wanted to do a podcast, and then after that we'll probably play Modern Warfare, probably for the rest of the night, because, it's a sleepover. Yeah, Mom said we could stay up another hour. But I own the house. But yeah, right now in Michigan it's snowing. I'm really excited today. I've been saying a lot, but the Packers play the Bears. And one thing I'd like to address about that is the fact that I've been reading all these articles on the Facebook and Twitter on the ESPN where, Mitch Trubisky has outperformed Aaron Rodgers since week 4. All right. Packers are leading the division right now. And we have over 10 wins. We're 10-3, so we have 10 wins. The Bears might not even make the playoffs after winning the division last year, and Khalil Mack is nowhere to be seen. But I'm telling you this right now: if I was I can't think of his name. He's the guy that runs down the street and he yells at people in the mic. I would do that in Detroit at a neutral. So I would do that in Minnesota and Detroit. I would run up screaming at 100 people total and go, "Who would you rather have as your franchise quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Mitch Trubisky?" They would be like, "Aaron Rodgers." Would you rather have 5 years with Aaron Rodgers right now, or would you rather have 10 years with Mitch Trubisky? I'd rather take 5 good years. I hate stats sometimes. They've also been dogging Brady. Mitch Trubisky in his last 3. Oh no, it was they did a Trubisky thing with him too, and they also did a Sam Darnold. I'd rather take Brady for 1 more year than Sam Darnold for 5 years. Why? Because Sam Darnold is kind of like a Jared Goff. If you switch teams, they'd probably just do about the same. It's. Are you thirsty? But it's all about. I guess you are. Sorry, that's really distracting. But yeah, sometimes stats don't win you games, essentially. I have had contrary coaches who are like, okay, we've got 20 goals for the season, 10 of those being game goals. Like, we want 2 sacks per game, and we want 1 interception per game, and we want 0 turnovers per game. And they're like, if you hit statistically 6 of these 10, you're going to win the game 100% of the time. 60% of the time, it works 100% of the time. But what I'm saying is, no, you can have your 3 interceptions 1 interception, no turnovers, 2 fumble recoveries, and still lose. And Tom Brady is the comeback kid. So I hate when people are like, oh, this scrub rookie quarterback, he's outperformed the legend of the 6 Super Bowl champion Tom Brady in 3 weeks of football. Call me when you got 6 rings. You know? That's one of my favorite arguments that I don't have. Aaron Rodgers has 1 ring, and people are still like, he's better than Brady. And I'm like, no. He's very good. Tom Brady's the best. He's the GOAT. G-O-A-T, GOAT. But Aaron Rodgers is the most athletic quarterback I've ever seen play the game, and I like Brett Favre better. But sometimes they just keep spitting all of these facts right in your face, and you're just like, oh, not facts, all these statistics, and you're just Luka said it. Luka said it good the other day. Rest in peace to your ankle. I hope it gets better. But Lucas said, I think he did something like he had 40 points, triple-double, or something like that. And Michael Jordan, he's the only person to do it besides Michael Jordan. He's like, no one's comparable to Michael Jordan. You're right. And as the game evolves as it is, some of these stats, in my mind, are always going to have an asterisk on it, especially for the NBA, because, boy, these fouls and these flops and the way the players are calling the game traveled, like big old Bill Laimbeer used to just donkey punch people. The bad boys, Detroit, they made Michael Jordan who he is because they kept beating him. So Michael Jordan was like, I got to get stronger because every time I go inside the paint, I get murdered. So, like, Chicago can thank Detroit for why Michael Jordan is as great as he is. But they just scoring that much. Oh, they scored 147 points this game. No defense. Not a hand in the face. You've basically got 5 guys standing on the perimeter, and the first one to get a pass with a guy not 3 inches from his face gets to shoot the ball automatically. And if you're James Harden, I want you to take 70 shots per game and make 20 of them, but then get fouled 100 times and then get called out by a fan for fouling, but then complain because nobody wants to see a foul. I agree with that fan. Nobody wants to see you shoot free throws. At this point, have every player in the league. If you want to speed up the game, here's how you do it. You just have every player in the league once a month on video shoot 20 free throws. And your percentage from making those 20 free throws depend if you get that bucket or not. Because boom, bam, I don't have to watch James Harden. James Harden's going to make 3 of 3. Okay? I don't need to see LeBron James miss any more free throws. So I'm tired of watching it. It's boring. The NBA, I'll watch it in the playoff. Derrick Rose, you're having a heck of a year. And they actually beat the Rockets. So good on the Pistons. I still think we're pretty foolish for signing Blake Griffin for as long as we did and as big as a contract because we traded. But that's just my personal opinion. He's a funny guy. Good player, but how do you build around Blake Griffin? I mean, hey, I'm just talking smack about a team that just beat the Rockets. But in my mind, you'd want to build around a Luka. And the Hawks are trying to build around Trey, but they're not having success either. So they had to promise him, we'll get you some teammates. Yeah, you're having a great year. Yeah, we haven't won a lot of games either. Another thing I'd like to address that I said over the weekend. So earlier in my first or second podcast, possibly my third again, I always like to introduce what sports teams I like, so you can't say that I'm jumping bandwagon. But I just don't like LeBron because he's from Cleveland, and I realized today that LeBron's a good dude, and LeBron, everybody hates him, including me, not because of what he's doing, because what he's doing is great. It's because they're just shoving it in our face, and we're just trying to say, hey, I don't want to see this anymore. For instance, yeah, LeBron James is a great basketball player, and when you're seeing LeBron highlights twice an hour, every hour on ESPN, but then you don't get to see the Suns covered at all. Like, the Suns got blown out again. Well, not the Suns. Where's Gold? No one's been talking about Golden State this year, hardly at all. And that's what I'm saying. So when LeBron James is dropping 37 points on the court and Anthony Davis is following up with like 27, you're like, yeah, I get it. Okay, they just played. He's still playing good. He's old, but he's still yamming it, and there's his hair flopping off his head. I understand why you're showing these highlights. I don't control your media, and, I can complain all I want, but it's not my network, and it's not what sells right now. But I do not need to see LeBron James dad highlights. And what I mean by that is LeBron James is a great father, and all the social media posts that you read about him and what he's done for kids and how he supports his kid. That's, every kid's dream is to have their dad in the stands cheering for them when they're playing basketball. And it's LeBron James is the greatest basketball player in the world right now, and I'll say it. But, Kevin Durant, right now, he's hurt. So currently playing the game of basketball right now, LeBron James is the most dominant man. And that just happens to be your dad, so he's going to have to get used to the fame, so it's kind of a good introduction. But sometimes I wish they could let those people have those moments by themselves. Because then you get people like me who are like, I hate him. He's always like, yeah, I'm just like, oh, cool. High school basketball picture with his dad, who happens to be LeBron James after the game, is like a headliner on their social media. When I'd rather see some crazy women's soccer goal or something like that. I'd rather see an actual sport rather than look at LeBron James take this photo. I don't know. I'm just a LeBron hater. Sorry. He's a great dude. It's probably fantastic. I'll never meet him. I'm just saying, he's probably the nicest dude ever. I just hate on some LeBron. I like when people throw stats like comparing LeBron superstar teams to the teams that he's lost with in these NBA Finals. But ever since LeBron just yacked my Pistons, he's left a sour taste. I don't even like Ginobili. I hate him. I hate Ginobili. Tim Duncan still got a little foul. Everyone's like, he's the nicest player. Yo, the only person I like on that team is Greg Popovich. He's the funniest guy ever. His post-game interviews are hilarious. Excuse me. But at a younger age, when you're like, oh wow, the Pistons might go back-to-back, and then they get yammed out by the Spurs, and then they get yammed out the next year by LeBron James, and then from then on, the king, and you're just like, oh my God. Why couldn't he be playing why couldn't he have got drafted by the Suns or the Kings? Some team that doesn't play my Pistons all year. It's like when the Cleveland Indians are good in baseball and they play the Tigers and they just yam on the Tigers. You're like, yo, we just got swept by the Indians. By the team that had a baseball movie named after them or made after them or by them or with them because you were so bad. Like Angels in the outfield, that was a terrible year for that team. Teams that do bad do movies like that. Look it up. I'm probably right 50% of the time on this issue. But when a team's not doing so hot, there's usually some sort of Disney classic movie or a not-so-family-friendly movie with Charlie Sheen as Wild Thing. What a funny movie. But, yeah, the Indians, and boy, do I hate the White Sox. Minnesota, I'm not really. I mean, the Twins are good. They have consistent years. The White Sox, though, Ozzie Guillen used to drive me crazy. But there's just certain players that just affect the way that you look at the game at a younger age, and that's how I still feel about LeBron. I was an ignorant, uneducated LeBron hater because I just hated him because he played for Cleveland. Because I like Detroit, except the Packers. if anybody ever watches this and it goes back to like, oh, look at this date in a year ago and you were wearing a Packers jersey and talking about how much you love Detroit. I liked it. Like I said, I like the Lions. I just grew up liking Brett Favre. I like the Packers. Excuse me for my yawn. I'll explain why. But Detroit's an awesome place. And you can be both. You can like the Packers and still like everything else in Michigan, because I do declare. No, I'm tired because I got off my 12-hour shift. And I was like, man, I haven't done a podcast in forever. So I came home, got all my morning chores done, like fed the dogs. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do an hour because I haven't done a podcast in a week because of all that stuff that happened with me going to the game. So this one might be a little bit shorter just because, boy, am I tired. Shifts at 6 to 6. All through the night, get home. I have my roommate let my dogs out, and he's gone in the morning doing work-related stuff. And so, I got everything done. I moved the lights out here, and I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm going to upload it later. I'm going to go straight to sleep after this. I'll wake up. The Packers are playing the Bears. What I will do now is I will open it up to the app that lets me view all provided by the ESPN app. I'm not sponsored, nor do I share any affiliate with ESPN. So Sunday, December 15th, my power picks that won't be out until you'll never know if I truly did this. And I'm cheating because I uploaded this actually after the first game, and I'm lying to you about the time. But it's 8:36. Game start at 1 Eastern time. Patriots Bengals. I got the Pats. They're going to probably win by 25 points. Buccaneers Lions. I got the Lions beating the Buccaneers. Bears Packers. Go Pack, go baby. Texans Titans. I think I've got Tannehill at 8-5, and he'll soon move to 9-6. Chiefs Broncos. It's a trap game. I think the Broncos come out swinging, but the Chiefs get it done in the fourth quarter. Dolphins Giants. Let's use the starting quarterback. If it's Eli Manning. Okay, so it is Eli Manning. I'm taking Eli Manning for 500. The GOAT killer. Eagles, Redskins. I'll take the Redskins because I want to see the Eagles lose, and I want to see the Cowboys lose. Like, give me 6-8. I think that'd be hilarious. So, yeah, go Redskins. Panthers, Seahawks. I think the Hawks get it done. Jaguars, Raiders. I've got the Raiders going 7-7. Jaguars will stay at 4. We'll go to 4-10. Browns, Cardinals. Well, Portnoy last week, if you watched that show, he was flying around like a crazy man and flapping away on the green screen. He was a Cardinal. He picked the Cardinals. It was his guaranteed money bet, all this stuff, and he was wrong. So I'm still betting against the Cardinals. I think the Browns move to 7-7. Vikings, Chargers. I hope Phillip Rivers has a great game. Go Chargers. Take some heat off the Packers. Rams, Cowboys. I think the Rams get it done. They woke up. They said, hey, we might miss the playoffs. Whoa, would you look at the times? Let's pick up the pace. Falcons, 49ers. I read in an article that the 49ers coach said this was an easy trap game for them to try to lose. Like, the Falcons are going to come in and trap them and beat them at their own game somehow. And so they're preparing for the trap game. And I was like, but what if the Falcons' trap game was pretending to have a trap game, but then not actually having a trap game? And that was their trap game all along. So they're actually playing into their trap game when they didn't even come up with a trap game. Yeah, I get bored during 12-hour shifts. This is the stuff I think about when I'm watching paint dry. But I think the 49ers get it done. Move the 12-2. The Bills, Steelers. I'm going to take the Steelers. And Monday Night Football, Colts and Saints. I think Sean Payton draws a unsportsmanlike conduct because, man, he's had it. But I think Drew Brees throws 4 touchdowns and gets it done on Monday night. And those are my football predictions. Like I said, I'm probably going to upload the podcast. No, I'll wait on both. I'll upload them both. I'm going to wake up roughly right before the games and then just to have enough time to sit down and start watching some football. But other than that, I'm going to cut the podcast short this week. I know, he comes back, we're not fans anymore. Like, I have 7 people maybe that consistently listen to this, and I thank you every day of my life because I want to get better at this. And sometimes I say like I have a million times today, but I'm working on a depleted brain because, again, I just got off of a 12-hour shift. But this week, hopefully we get a guest or two. I'm going to do a Christmas special, so I'll just talk about some holiday experiences and things that make me reminisce on Christmas past. Talk about what I'm going to make for Christmas dinner, which I haven't made yet. I'll show you how I'm wrapping my Christmas presents this year. And maybe I'll share my feelings on what Christmas means to me. Maybe talk about my favorite Christmas gift. But there's going to be a Christmas special, so look out for that. A 3-day weekend coming up next weekend. As well as maybe Earl as a special guest, maybe Joe, maybe Hill. But we'll never know. So that's it for the JT Show. Thanks for tuning in. Please go like, subscribe, all that jazz. JTofJville.com. That's my website. It'll link you to all the stuff. If you want to sponsor me, gracias. If you want to send me money, you can do that on my podcast website or at Venmo, JTofJville. Other than that, if you're still listening, again, praise be with you. But I'm going to go to bed. Signing off, Captain's Log.